The world is in debt, so who is the creditor? Every single country in the world is drowning in a sea of debt. The United States today owes more than $38 trillion. This is the highest figure in its history. The European Union is under approximately $14 trillion of debt burden. Japan, meanwhile, owes nearly $9 trillion. Even oil-rich countries and super export powers owe unimaginable amounts. But here is the real question no one asks. If everyone is in debt, who actually receives the money? Welcome to a strange reality where money, power, the economy and history are intertwined, and nothing works the way you think. Debt is not just a problem. It is the operating system of the modern world. Every war, every crisis, every rise and every collapse, all of it stands on an invisible network of debt notes. I owe us. And if you follow this network long enough in the direction it leads, you discover that what you reach is deeply disturbing. The world is not in debt to someone else. It is in debt to itself. Unfortunately, not everyone benefits from this situation fairly. So how did we get here? Today, global debt exceeds $315 trillion, which is nearly 3 times the size of the world economy. To understand how this happened, we need to go far back centuries ago, to those centuries when there were no banks, credit cards, or digital money. National debt was never born in the world of finance. It was born directly in war. In 1694, England was fighting France and running out of gold. The Crown asked merchants for financial support. In return, the government promised continuous interest payments guaranteed by future taxes. So much so that the Bank of England was established to manage this system. And this changed everything. For the first time, a government was spending money it did not yet have, and this meant that lenders obtained something revolutionary: a promise that could be bought and sold. This promise turned into the government bond, the seed of the modern financial system. In a short time, all major powers copied this system. Borrowing was no longer a sign of weakness. It even became a sign of power. Empires once conquered land to extract gold. Now they were issuing debt to extract interest. The battlefield moved from land to balance sheets. The great global cycle. Let's move forward 300 years. Debt has become the world's biggest export. Every country borrows. Every bank lends. Every citizen, through taxes, savings, or pension funds, is simultaneously both debtor and creditor. Let's take the United States. About half of its debt is held by investors, banks, pension funds, insurance companies, and even its own central bank. Roughly 1/3 is held by foreign governments such as Japan and China. For this reason, people say America is in debt to China. Technically true, but it represents only a very small portion of the total. Most of America's debt is owed to Americans. The government issues bonds. Funds buy them. The central bank often buys them back by printing new money. Taxes pay the interest. That interest flows into retirement accounts. It is a cycle. It is a mirror system. And this situation is not unique to America. Japan lends to the US. The US lends to Europe. Europe lends to developing countries. Those countries send the money back by investing their reserves in Western bonds. This is a global game. a hot potato game. The only difference is that this potato is made of promises. Every country holds someone else's debt note. Every promise is supported by another promise. This game continues only as long as no one leaves the table. The invisible power. Behind every government bond stands a massive network of institutions. Hedge funds, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, central banks managing tens of trillions of dollars. They determine who can borrow cheaply and who must pay to survive. When they lose confidence, currencies collapse, governments fall, economies can fall apart overnight. Democracy may decide who governs. Markets decide who survives. And at the center of this system sits the most powerful actor, the central bank. Money equals debt. Central banks do not just manage debt, they create it. When they buy government bonds, they produce new money out of nothing. One institution's debt becomes another institution's asset. Every dollar, euro, or yen in circulation represents debt somewhere else. There is no such thing as debt-free money. Every coin and banknote carries an invisible IOU. This system has been built for decades on a single thing: confidence. As long as investors believe that governments will continue paying interest, the mechanism keeps running, even if the principal is never repaid. But the moment confidence breaks, the consequences are devastating. Greece in 2010, Argentina's repeated defaults, Sri Lanka's economic collapse. Suddenly, all creditors become visible. International institutions, rating agencies, anonymous bondholders holding entire nations by the throat. The secret no one admits. In the modern world, sovereign debt is not designed to be repaid. It is designed to keep this wheel turning forever. Governments finance old debt with new debt. This is like a subscription system that never ends. Interest becomes the real product. This is the price of stability. The global economy is now dependent on this price, like a shark that must keep swimming to breathe. Investors do not expect repayment. They expect the deal to be renewed. Because government bonds are considered the safest assets in the world, the foundation of banks, pension systems, and financial markets. What would happen if governments suddenly paid off all their debts? The safest assets would disappear. Money supply would shrink. Deflation would begin. Markets would collapse. Paying the debt would destroy the system. That is why governments do not eliminate debt. They sustain it. Like the heartbeat of the global economy. Who really pays? When we say we owe the debt to ourselves, that would be only half true. Because interest payments are not distributed equally across society. They flow upward, from taxpayers and workers to the institutions and wealthy investors who hold the debt. So debt is not only a transfer between countries, it is also a transfer between classes. That is why global inequality rises together with global debt. The system rewards those who own assets, not those who finance them. Neither creditors are villains nor debtors are victims. Both are parts of the same machine. The real danger emerges when the machine runs out of fuel. when old promises can no longer be carried by new debt. So, who is the creditor? At the top of the global debt pyramid, there is no single enemy. Not China, not Wall Street, not the IMF, all of them, and us. Modern finance has turned debt itself into money. Governments create it. Banks multiply it. Investors trade it. Citizens depend on it. The line between debtor and creditor has almost completely disappeared. Debt once meant bondage. Today it means balance. But if this balance breaks and confidence disappears, the illusion ends. And the only thing that remains is what debt has always been. A promise that cannot be kept forever.
If you find this video interesting, please like and subscribe to discover more.